Czechoslovakia come to Rotterdam to take on Holland in what's a fascinating battle in the European Championship qualifier. A game in which Holland will start as favourites, but the history books say that they far from a good against Holland, who've made a late change, and they'll give a debut to Yuri Mulder from Schalke tonight. There's the Holland lineup with perhaps Patrick Kluivert from Ajax, unlucky not to get a game in the full starting lineup. He's on the bench because Ronald de Boer has got an injury. It's a back injury, and so he misses out. There's the Dutch formation. They'll start by playing 3-4-3. Mulder in the centre with Van Bossem, who's having an excellent season with Ajax, and Gaston Taument, the Feyenoord player, on the right. Winter, Witschke, Jonk and Roy in midfield, and Yuri Mulder making his Dutch debut. He becomes the fourth father and son combination to play for Holland. It's his first cap this evening, playing in Germany. His father Jan Mulder, now a journalist, and there's Dick Advocaat. Now there's more than speculation as we get underway that Advocaat could well be on his way to PSV when closely scrutinised on the subject earlier in the week. He was far from decisive in his answer. Well, Dutch football fans need no reminding that Czechoslovakia were the team that Johan Cruyff, the great Johan Cruyff, made his debut at, as Taument makes an early attack on Pavel Srnicek, the Newcastle United keeper. He's up to it. Taument has scored that decisive goal against Saudi Arabia with the header late on in the World Cup. As I was saying, it was Czechoslovakia in 1966 that Cruyff made his debut, and it was an extraordinary affair really, because he actually got sent off in the game and ended up with a year ban that was reduced on appeal to 6 months. And when you think how he graced the orange jersey of Holland after that, memories go back to that clash in 1966. So Holland then in the orange shirts and white shorts, attacking the goal away to our right here in the Groupe. And the first foul from Robbie Witschke. There is Mulder being closely marked here by Miroslav Kadlec, who plays his football in Kaiserslautern and is experienced with 42 caps for the Czech Republic. Here's Srnicek trying to master his defence. Holland, who began by getting some goals away in Luxembourg, it's hit the bar. It's Jonk and Frank de Boer who went up for that. And Mulder, on his debut, was only inches away. The free kick floated in, and well, Roy to take the corner. It's rather a wasted one, and this is Poborski, not the only player to be a surprise inclusion. Thomas Skuravi, incidentally, didn't come because he had an argument with Dusan Juran, the Czech Republic coach, about the training, so he was a late absentee, which really left the position open to Horst Segal, who plays for Sparta Prague and has that scoring record of 5 in 8. So a free kick to Holland, who'll be looking to go one better than their away trip to Norway, who incidentally have won this evening by 4-0 against Belarus, a team that they struggle to beat at home. Tries to implore to his team the significance here of getting a result. Scoreless draw, of course, would suit the Czechs far more. In their last qualification match against Norway at home, it was 0-0, so that's a result that can often be important. I think the key that in these groups in international football is not to concede a goal early. Here's Latal, and it's a fair run. Radoslav Latal also plays for Schalke. There are 3 players from the German club on the field here. Yuri Nemec, Radoslav Latal and Yuri Mulder. Here's Ed de Goey, here's Taumen in his home stadium. De Goey, Vichka and Taumen, the three Feyenoord players in the starting lineup. And put out of play by Wim Jonk. Holland have already beaten Czechoslovakia 3 times in 10 attempts then. So they'll realise that this is no pushover. Roy was trying to cover, and in the end that was Kubik. Here's Vinta. Roy was caught out there. This is Nemec. Latal. And Vaux, who's now back at PSV, having spent some time at Sporting Lisbon. Away goes Vinta. It's a fair run from Aaron Vinta. Still no goals here in Rotterdam. Away goes Nemec. He's been very industrious so far in these opening 15 minutes. Vinta. Roy, having a fine season in England with Nottingham Forest, making a big impression. Nemec out to Podborski. And back to Ed de Goey. It's been a very scrappy opening here to this European Championship qualifier. Both sides know that with this 3 points for a win, the incentive to attack is far greater than in previous years. 15 gone. We still await the first goal. Jonk goes in, but good play there by Radoslav Hapal. And Vichka came across and sacrifices putting the ball out of play. Crowd of 40,000, and Peter van Vossem really enjoying his football and scoring some spectacular goals for Ajax. 2 in the last month stand out in league games against PSV and Willem II, both away. This is Seagal. The ball not properly cleared. A header across the face of the goal and punched by de Goey. It had to be Nemec. Ooh, that wasn't far away. Yuri Nemec got the shot in, and that was very close. Well, we'll see just how close from behind the goal. I think it was under a foot for sure as Nemec struck it. Oh. Stan Vaux, 14th international tonight, and he really has struggled in the last few games for PSV. Not settled backs, Taument. Well, it was Pavel Kuka who gets a yellow card for the challenge. And picking up a yellow card then for the foul. Tauent, the player brought down. Dangerous situation. Roy and Jonk will work it between them. And Jonk to take it, floats it in. They're queuing up at the far post. Vaux! Not far away either. Stan Vaux yet to score for Holland. But he was in the centre here as the header across came from Frank de Boer. Right, it was the right idea to try and place it. It just didn't come off. Now Vaux defending. You look at this Holland team and compare it with the World Cup side, and there are noticeable absentees. Marco Overmars, Ronald de Boer, Dennis Bergkamp, Ronald Koeman, Jan Wouters and Frank Rijkaard. So you are talking about a complete restructure here. Overmars and Bergkamp would of course be in if they're fit. Roy here with a chance. He's dragged it down well. Still Roy. And again Roy. Looks for Taument. It's bypassed Mulder. Van Vossem. So unlucky because he'd done everything right there. And Dennis Bergkamp from Inter, all out through injury. Koeman, Wouters and Rijkaard have retired from the international scene. I can tell you, both Koeman and Rijkaard are having excellent seasons domestically for Barcelona and Ajax, and Wouters isn't doing so bad at PSV. Radoslav Lataulen sacrifices another corner. Frank de Boer makes a run. He doesn't get there. It's headed wide. And Winter, who got that second goal against Brazil, the one that gave the Dutch so much hope when they made it 2-2, only for Romario to end the dream. Hapau wins the throw. Winter looks for Roy. Brian Roy's in here. Good save, Cernacek. Well, Roy, so close to breaking the deadlock. Two players there from the English FA Premiership in action. Roy from Nottingham Forest, Cernacek from Newcastle. Here's Jonk. Peter van Vossem. Cover from Poborski. Jonk again. They're a neat defensive unit, the Czechs. Half an hour gone, and they've really held out well. We haven't seen so much in attack apart from that effort from Yuri Nemec, but they are coming on the counter now, and that was Vichka making sure of the corner. Excellent defensive play from Robbie Vichka. He still must rue the penalty he missed in the drawn game with Malta. How important that particular miss might prove to be when we work out the final analysis. Going to be a yellow card here for Brian Roy, I think. He's smiling at Sandor Pool, but the World Cup final referee, the Hungarian, wasn't going to fall for that one, and Brian Roy goes into the notebook. It was a late challenge on Poborski, and Dusan Yurin must be pleased with the way his side have fought in this first 45 minutes. Still Holland 0, the Czech Republic 0. This is Roy. The ball forward, looking for Mulder and looking for the return. Mulder's first touch there let him down. Here's Jonk. This is Van Vossem. Jonk again. Oh, that's a good effort! A very good effort indeed. Wim Jonk, who scored 6 times for Holland, and most of them have come from outside the penalty area. 2 spring to mind against Ireland and, of course, against Saudi Arabia in the World Cup. And what a way to finish the first half that would have been from Wim Jonk, who formerly played for Ajax, is now playing for Inter Milan. Jonk again. Little shot over the bar this time from Peter van Vossem. Well, he's managed 7 international goals, and this could have been 8. It was a little chip. It was a special effort indeed, and it was only just over. So into stoppage time then, at the end of what's been a pretty scrappy first 45 minutes. Still no goals, remember. As away goes Winter from Taument's ball through. Mulder was the player they looked for. Bilek, the top scorer in this Czech Republic team, came across, but it's half-time, and Dick Advocaat will have plenty to say. Substitutions at half-time. I would think the Czech Republic side, coached by Dusan Yurin, will be far happier with the position. No goals at half-time. Holland giving a debut tonight for Yuri Mulder, son of Jan Mulder, who is a former Dutch international. Remember that Holland have won away in Luxembourg and drawn away 1-1 with Norway. Other result in the group, just to remind you, was Belarus 0, Norway 4. So that'll be a big boost to Egil Olsen's side's goal difference. Here's Mulder, here's Brian Roy, great opportunity, Brian Roy for Holland. Pavel Cernacek made the save. Roy, who has found the net on 8 previous occasions in his 28 Dutch appearances, didn't really get the power or the accuracy here. After Mulder found him, and he showed great awareness to go inside Radoslav Hapal, but couldn't beat Cernacek. Cernacek put under a bit of pressure. Brian Roy doesn't go fully through, but here's Jonk for Holland. This is Mulder. Nice turn inside. He seemed to have slipped Cadillac, and another opportunity there for Brian Roy. Well, Mulder floated it in, and Roy was hungry, and he got the header. It wasn't so far wide. Kapakart, who wasn't meant to be in charge of Holland when they went to the USA, but got the job almost by default when everybody expected Johan Cruyff to take it. Another mistake by Cernacek this time. The little chip can't do him, and Jonk was aware of exactly what was going on there. He just didn't get the height. Cernacek must have been a little nervous, one would have thought. Van Vossem tried to trap it. Sandor Pool got a touch, the Hungarian World Cup final referee. Here's Frank de Boer coming across with Kubin. The free kick given. He was rather fortunate there, Frank de Boer. It looked, if anything, as though he was doing a lot of the holding. This is Jonk. Danny Blintz. 1 goal for Holland. What an excellent season he's having as well for Ajax, who take on Milan in the UEFA Champions League next week. We'll have the rest of action of that for you in our UEFA Champions League special next Thursday night at 11:30 Central European time, 10:30 in the UK. Here's Peter Van Vossem. He'll be involved in that one as well for Ajax, who look good for a place in the last 8. Away goes Valks. Now, can he find the quality cross? Mulder was what he was looking for. Roy was another. And Van Vossem was coming in on the far side, but Danny Blint goes in again. Jonk. Now, we all know how dangerous it is from this range. Will he try a shot himself? And this time he passes out to Taumen. Now, Strukelparak is the cover. Taumen forced to go backwards and find Winter. Aaron Winter for Holland. Little through ball, it's going nowhere. Lateral young hope of Holland, Patrick Kluivert, who there were rumours was attracting interest from both Milan and Juventus. And I wonder whether De Kapakart is going to make a substitution as a yellow card goes to Strukelparak. Well, he went sliding in on Taument, and he can't have really expected anything else. So Patrick Kluivert, who's top scorer in Dutch football at the moment with 10 goals. What an international debut he could make here, with the obvious switch being with Mulder, who's not had the best of games as Roy's brought down. Also on the bench here, Arthur Newman. But it's a free kick as Kubik really barged into Roy, and it was David against Goliath there, little against large, and Brian Roy coming off the worst of it. Now, there's no Koeman, of course. It's almost the identical spot that Koeman found the net against England in that World Cup qualifier. Remember, it went into the top left-hand corner. Now, Jonk will be the favourite here. Jonk takes it! Takes a deflection as well. I think one thing that I've noticed, having been in this stadium a few times this season, the atmosphere is so much better now. They've let spectators sit in the seats directly behind the goal. They've completely revamped the Feyenoord Stadium here, and it's now got a roof on. Those of you who are familiar with it will always remember that if you came here, you prayed it didn't rain, because there were very few seats under cover. That's not the case now, and the atmosphere is more of a theatre of dreams for the Dutch than they've had in previous years. And I'm told on fairly good authority that it'll either be this stadium or the new one that they build in Amsterdam, which should be completed in 2 years' time, that will be a host for the final of the Euro Champs in the year 2000. As that was a little run from Oborski. That incidentally will be now officially confirmed a joint competition with Belgium and Holland. 2 points to note on it. I think that both sides won't have to pre-qualify, which will mean that they'll miss out on all the qualification matches, which England are doing at the moment. And that the opening game will be in Belgium and the final will be in Holland. A great chance here! And so close for Pavel Kuka. And he certainly had the ground for complaint that this was a back pass. Well, let's see it again. Radoslav Hapal went away, lost his man, and it was Kuka, number 9, who came in. Now, was this a back pass? Well, for me, Vaux is lucky to get away with that. There would have been no intention to have put it into his own net, so he shouldn't have been allowed to pick it up. That was an interpretation of the rules that Sandor Poel didn't make. Great turn from Van Vossem. Now still Van Vossem, and it's gone out for a corner. Cadillac came across. Now Kluivert. Is he going to replace Mulder? That would be the obvious choice. Van Vossem, well, he could be another candidate. As Jot takes the corner, and there's a scramble. And De Boer, who came up. Well, we played 70 minutes, so in fairness, if he is going to make a change, he's got to make it soon. There, it almost came off the shoulder. And it is Mulder who comes off. So, from one debut player to another. And you don't often see this. You can hear the reaction from the Dutch crowd for the introduction of Patrick Kluivert, a youngster making a massive impression. And he grabbed a couple of goals in Ajax's last game against Groningen away from home. That's the Ajax Stadium, in fact, when they came from behind to beat Groningen last week 3-1. They were losing until the 78th minute, and Kluivert got 2. Well, how he could enhance his value even more with a goal here in the last 20 minutes. Taument, it's a great run from Taument. Kluivert, here's a chance. Kluivert! Ooh. And he knows it. Serious opportunity here. Taument doing ever so well. And Kluivert, he could have made all the headlines here. He trapped it well enough. And all credit to the defender for narrowing the angle, but Cadillac tried to put him off as the Czech team make a substitution. Samek coming on for Kuka, but it's really, I think, only time wasting. The second sub they've made. We're into stoppage time. Sandor Poel. Not certain how much stoppage time he wants to add on here. Down goes Samek. So Bilek to take the free kick there, queuing up in the centre. Great opportunity. It's a free attempt really for them in stoppage time as it's floated in, and the header comes in. Oh! Tegui has to tip it over, and it's Samek. What a dream start that would have been. Well, Bilek floats it in. Now, was it Samek who got the final touch? It was, and that was definitely saved, tipped over. 2 minutes of stoppage time now. 47 gone in this second half. And Van Vossem, has he kept it in? Oh, good play from Van Vossem. It's still Van Vossem. And the crowd were suddenly very excited by that. Sandor Pool checks again with the linesman. I don't think there's too much time to go. Is there one more chance for Holland? No, that's it. The final whistle goes. It's finished scoreless here in Rotterdam. Wim Jonk, one of the more experienced players, knows that